They say every affair begins with a secret, but this one began with silence. A silence so heavy it hollowed out a marriage from the inside. She was the woman everyone envied, beautiful, admired, married to the perfect man. But behind closed doors, she was invisible, unseen, unheard, unloved. And that's when she made the choice that would cost her everything. Picture this. The rain is pouring outside, the city is asleep, and one woman, drenched and trembling, finds herself at the doorway of another. Man's room, not her husband's. Bare, vulnerable, exposed in every way a person can be. Why did she come here? Why now? And what would happen when he looked at her? When he could no longer hold back? Because this is not just a story of desire. It's a story of betrayal, of secrets, of a night that changed everything. And once you hear it, you'll never forget it. She wasn't supposed to be there, not like this, not in that state. Yet there she stood, bare, vulnerable, trembling at the threshold of his room. And in that one moment, everything he thought he could control slipped away. Why had she come to him? Why now, and what was she about to risk without even realizing the weight of it? This wasn't the beginning. No, this was the point where everything began to unravel. For months, Olivia had been living inside the walls of a marriage that looked perfect from the outside. Neighbors envied her, friends admired her. Her family believed she was the luckiest woman alive. Her husband, Daniel, was charming, ambitious, the kind of man who always said the right thing at dinner parties. But behind closed doors, the silence between them grew louder every night. She could trace the distance back to small, subtle changes, the late-night meetings, the cold responses, the way his eyes no longer lingered when she walked into a room. At first, she told herself, it was normal. After all, love wasn't supposed to burn forever, right? But deep down, Olivia felt it. The aching emptiness, the kind of loneliness that makes a person wonder if they even exist anymore. And that's when he appeared. His name was Marcus. He wasn't extraordinary in the way Daniel was. He didn't wear tailored suits or drive sleek cars, but he had something Daniel no longer gave her: attention. Marcus listened. He noticed. He laughed at her jokes, even the unfunny ones, and he asked how she was doing. Not the casual, "How was your day?" but the kind of question that waits for a real answer. It started innocently. Of course, a friend of a friend. Coffee after a late book club meeting. Conversations that stretched longer than they should have. Olivia would tell herself, it's just friendship. But her heart knew better. Because with every text, every glance, every brush of his hand near hers, something inside her came alive again. But here's where everything started to go wrong. The night it happened, Olivia had stormed out of the house after another cold argument with Daniel. She hadn't even grabbed her coat. It was raining, heavy and relentless, and yet she didn't care. Her feet led her, almost unconsciously, straight to Marcus's apartment. She didn't knock timidly. She didn't second guess. She was soaked, hair clinging to her skin, dress plastered against her body. When Marcus opened the door, her appearance stole the words from his mouth. She stepped inside, leaving puddles on his floor. And before either of them could speak, she let go. The pain, the emptiness, the craving for connection. She shed, it all standing before him, bare in every sense of the word, and Marcus, he couldn't hold back anymore. Now put yourself in her shoes for a second, the storm outside roaring, the silence between them charged with desire. For months, she'd been starving for affection, for someone to simply see her. And here he was, looking at her like she was the only person in the world. One kiss led to another. One night blurred into dawn. For the first time in years, Olivia felt alive, but she didn't realize what that night would cost her. The morning after, guilt began its slow crawl into her chest. She slipped back into her home like a ghost, half convinced Daniel would be awake, waiting, demanding to know where she had been. But he wasn't. He was gone, off to work before the sun even rose. And strangely, That hurt even more. Because even in her betrayal, Daniel hadn't noticed. He hadn't cared. Or so she thought. At first, the affair was careful. Stolen moments, deleted messages. The thrill of secrecy mixed with the sweetness of attention. Olivia convinced herself she was still in control, that no one would ever know. But the universe has a way of unraveling secrets at the worst possible moment. It began with Daniel's silence changing. He wasn't just distant anymore. He was watchful. His eyes lingered, studying her when she thought he wasn't looking. His questions became sharper, his schedule more unpredictable. And then one evening, as Olivia reached for her phone to check a message from Marcus, she noticed something odd. Her texts were already opened. Her heart dropped. She replayed the past weeks in her mind, missed calls, unexplained silences, Daniel's sudden calmness. Had he already known? Was he waiting for her to confess? Every interaction became a game of masks. Olivia, smiling at the dinner table. Daniel asking how her day was with a voice so smooth it almost sounded kind. But beneath it, tension coiled tight, ready to snap. And then came the night Daniel finally spoke. He waited until she was half asleep. His voice was low, almost gentle. "Do you love him?" Olivia's body froze. The question sliced through the darkness. Her breath caught. For a moment, she considered lying, denying, laughing it off. But something in his tone told her he already knew the answer. She began, but no words followed. The silence was her confession. Daniel didn't yell, he didn't rage. He simply turned over, his back to her, and whispered, "Then you've already made your choice." And in that moment, Olivia realized the betrayal wasn't just about bodies, or even about love. It was about the slow erosion of trust. Something that once broken could never be rebuilt the same way again. The days that followed were a blur of half conversations, packed bags, and unanswered questions. Olivia clung to Marcus, hoping the passion that had once felt like salvation could hold her together. But passion built on destruction rarely lasts. Because Marcus wasn't Daniel. He wasn't the life she had built, the years of history, the promises. He was an escape, and escape routes aren't meant to become destinations. Soon, cracks formed even there. Marcus grew restless, uneasy with the weight of what their connection had caused. The laughter faded. The why? Excitement dulled, and Olivia was left staring at the ruins of both lives, her marriage in ashes, her affair losing its fire. You won't believe what happened next. One evening, weeks later, Olivia returned to what was once her home. The door was unlocked. Inside, the rooms were stripped bare. Daniel was gone, clothes, pictures, even his scent. The only thing left was a single note on the kitchen counter. It read, "Sometimes the worst betrayal isn't when you leave. It's when you make me stay long after you've already gone." And just like that, the life she once thought was hers disappeared. Daniel never looked back. Marcus drifted away, and Olivia was left with the one thing she had been running from all along, herself. The story doesn't end with a neat resolution, because that's the truth about infidelity. It rarely does. It leaves behind questions without answers, wounds that don't close cleanly, and memories that haunt even in moments of silence. So ask yourself this. When loneliness whispers, when temptation knocks, what price are you willing to pay for a fleeting moment of connection? Because Olivia learned the hard way, some choices can never be undone.